All right, so in our last lesson together, we kind of stopped around how to get a job. So I'll go back just a little bit so you can see the title. All right, so we're talking about how to earn money in our PFL unit. All right, so how to get a job is extremely important. All right, this is not you just waltzing into a place that has now hiring on the window outside and you just automatically receiving a job. It is a long process. Okay, so the first part of this process, you have to be qualified and you have to apply. All right, you're not going to pick up an application for one particular restaurant or one particular job in an industry if you are not qualified to do so. You're wasting everyone's time, yours and the potential employer included, if you are applying for a job that you are not qualified for. So if the job says you must have a 4-year college degree, someone in high school doesn't need to apply for that job because you're wasting time. Right, so you need to be qualified and go apply. All right, sometimes an application might be online, sometimes it might be in person, through paper, you might have to mail it in, so you need to be aware of the process. The second step in this process on how to get a job is to prepare for your interview. You need to have some questions about your strengths and weakness and some answers ready to go. So if your potential employer says to you, what are your greatest strengths? You don't need to say, I can bench press 180 pounds. That's not the strength they're speaking about. All right, your strengths need to be character traits that you have that are positive, that could contribute that you could contribute to your workplace. And weaknesses are things that you need to work on as a person, and you need to be honest about this, and it needs to be relevant and professional in your answer. All right. You also need to make sure that you have business casual attire so that you are dressed appropriately for said interview. Okay, you need to interview, go in person, look people in the eye, do not look around the room, don't be shady, okay? If you look around the room and you can't make eye contact with someone for a particular amount of time and you don't look enthusiastic while you sit there in your job interview, you are likely not going to receive that job. Because if this is how you act on an interview, what does that say about your behavior when accomplishing a task for whatever company you're choosing to apply to? Make sure that when you shake someone's hand in an interview, you don't dap someone up. They're not your friend. They're your employer. They sign your paycheck. So you need to make sure that you are treating them as the professional that they are. All right, when you shake someone's hand, make sure you have a firm grip. Okay, don't be weird. Don't be crazy. Okay, number 4 is follow up, but don't be extra. Okay. You need to make sure that you wait 5 business days, so a full business week, Monday through Friday, before following up with an application. Some places require you to go into the store to follow up on an application. That just makes you look more professional. So if that particular job asks you to do that, you need to do it. Okay, don't follow up every single day, even if someone tells you to. That's not helpful. Okay, all right, so now let's define a job. Now that we've kind of gotten the 4 major steps in how to receive a job, what is it? All right, a job is employment just for the sole purpose of earning money. It is not a long-term commitment. All right, when you work a job as a babysitter or you work at Food Lion or you work at Kona Ice, whatever you do, it might not be a career path for you. It might take you on the path to your career, but you might not want to work stocking shelves for the rest of your life. You might not want to work babysitting other people's kids on the weekends or the evenings for the rest of your life. So you got to make sure that when you do get a job that you have a plan and some next steps after you complete that job, after it's run its path. All right, so next up is a career. This is typically better for you long term. You're going to earn more money this way, and this also gives you job stability. A career is a long-term commitment and usually requires further training or education. So you might need a little more training than just a high school degree in order to be a teacher. You do. You need at least a bachelor's degree in education, and you need a teaching license. Okay? So a career is a long-term commitment and requires further education. So a job versus a career, job is just for temporary employment, just for earning money, and a career is long-term. Okay? It's your long-term commitment to your job. All right, so when you do apply for a job, you're going to have to put your social security number down. You need to have it memorized. You do not have to recite this to me. I'm not going to recite mine to you, but you do need to know what it is. So if you need to ask a parent or guardian where your birth certificate is or where your social security card is, you need to know the location of those documents, and you need to know what your social security number is and have it memorized. So when you call someone on the phone, you don't have to fumble through your wallet or fumble through some files on your desk and say like, well, I don't know my social security number, that's going to look a little crazy. And also if you go into a job interview and your employer puts an additional application in front of you and says, can you please fill out your social security number, you don't want to be that person that has to get out their phone and call their mom in the middle of a job interview to say, hey mom, what's my social security number? You need to present yourself in as much of a professional way as you possibly can. All right, so when it talks about education and office skills, all right, so years of typing experience and how many words per minute you type are important, all right? Computer experience, this is not like, well, I know how to write an essay on Microsoft Word. They're talking about experience with Excel sheets or Adobe Digital Design, something to that effect. All right, you also have to list your employment history. So if you're like, well, I could just get fired from this job, then I don't really care about it. I hope you care enough to be able to explain it to your future employer, because there will always be a section that asks you about where you currently are in employment or where you have been. And if you were fired, they're going to ask you, were you asked to leave your previous job? And you have to say either yes or no and be honest about it. And they're probably going to ask you in a little box underneath that says, if yes, can you provide us with the number of your previous employer so that we can call and ask? Because you're not going to employ someone who might end up getting fired anyway. You're not going to waste money in that way. All right, speaking of owning your own business and being an employer, if you do own your own business, this is known as entrepreneurship. Okay, this is a weird word, entrepreneurship. If you are the person who owns the business, you are the entrepreneur. Okay? All right, so here's what a pay stub typically looks like. All right, this is given to you in an attachment to your check from your employer. All right, they'll probably put your employee number, the pay date of that, your social security number. Typically this doesn't happen, but on this particular one it is. All right, so your gross earnings. Gross doesn't mean like, ooh, that's nasty. This type of gross means total. Okay, so your total amount. So you make $14.50 an hour. Wow, go you, all right? And you worked 40 hours a week. So total, you got $580. However, you don't get that to take home, right? You have to take out Medicare, Social Security, and both federal and state taxes before you receive yours, okay? So this number right here, 580, is not the one that appears on the check that you can cash at the bank. What you can cash at the bank is $548.55. That's what's coming to you to pay bills with, all right? And then YTD means year to date. So year to date, how much have you earned in a year? You've earned $2,900, okay? You've had $607 taken out for taxes, and you've received $2,300 to go spend how you wish. All right. So let's define a wage real quick. All right, speaking of you get so-and-so money per hour, a wage is earned by the hour. All right, and this goes in the box towards the bottom of your note sheet. All right, so if your rate is $14.50 an hour and you work 40 hours a week, all right, this number could vary from week to week. You might not receive $580 every single week. You might work more, you might work less. All right, so it's kind of up in the air. All right. A salary, though, is earned by the year. A lot of people think that a salary is earned by the month. That is not true. You might get paid every month, but your salary is a total amount that you earn every year, and it's split up into payments every 12 months. Okay? So if someone says, well, my salary is $48,000. Okay, cool. Your salary is $48,000. You don't earn any more, and you don't earn any less than that. All right? But they split that $48,000 into payments every single month. Okay, that is a salary. All right, so now that you've earned some money, let's figure out how to deposit this into the bank. All right, usually a bank does not require a deposit slip anymore, but you need to know how to do it in case your bank does require this. All right, so you have this on your note sheet. All right, I do not have writing capabilities, so you'll just have to pay attention. All right, so you need to put the date down. All right, so let's say today's date is April the 25th, okay? So you're going to put 4/25/18 on this date line. Make sure you're following my cursor. All right, so sign here for cash received if requested. So for our purposes, we are going to take a little cash out. This is not real life. We're not going to the bank, all right? But for our purposes, we are going to take some cash out. So sign here. Remember, your signature needs to be in cursive, and if you need help with that, I can help you, okay? So we're going to leave this line blank. Let's say that we're depositing our paycheck for $3,000, okay? Right here in this little section, to the left of these arrows is where the check number goes. So if your check number, which is if you have a check, it's in the top right hand corner and it's 4 digits, all right? So it'll say, let's say that our check number is 1001. So we're going to put 1001 right here. And we're going to put 3,000, I'm trying to trace with my cursor, on the line right there. Okay, that's our line. Okay, let's also say that we're going to deposit a check for $150 because we worked a little overtime and we had a great time, all right? Now let's put 1002 as our check number, and we're going to put 150 and 0 cents right here. Okay, so 3,000 and 150. All right, all good. So now if you're depositing money, it's flowing into the bank. So now we have $3,150 to play with, okay? But let's say that you want $100 cash back. So you have 2 checks and you have no cash, but you want some cash to put in your wallet. Okay, so now you have what's called a subtotal. All right, so we're going to add these 2 numbers. So you're going to put 3150 on this line where it says subtotal, and then less cash received. All right, so let's say that we're taking out $100.00. You have to subtract the cash that you want in your hand. Okay, so now our total that we're putting into the bank, because we're taking $100 out for ourselves, is $3,050.00. And that's how we fill out a deposit slip.